Woo! Another warm day here in the DR, and just going through my little prayer walkway before heading to the mandala meditation labyrinth. And today's mandala meditation, which will last approximately 3 to 5 minutes, depending on how fast I walk. There we go. I'll show you what this is all about here. Walk this guy and then focus on one idea. Is getting out of whack. And it's kind of an interesting thing. Before I walked away from everything, and our family moved out to the Dominican Republic, and then we've been living for the most part out here and doing mission work. As up to this point, I had quite a few people that had told me, Devin, you just take on too much. I was president of multiple boards. I had served as president of Rotary, Runners Club, the Clubhouse of Seven Lakes, taken on a lot of big projects, did multiple renovations, renovated our house, bought a second property. My mom passed away and renovated that, and all that was all good. It was all good. I could do that all day long. Get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and work until I went to the office at 8, and then took care of patients until noon, had a 2-hour lunch break, and then went back again to the office until 6, and then would work on my projects until 9 or 10 at night. And it was all good, even though people would say, you're just really doing too much. It's doing good. But there was a point where I got out of whack. And so if you find yourself kind of at that point where you're like, I just feel like things have just gotten out of whack, and I just starting to feel stress in your body, or you're exhausted, feeling burnt out, or anxiety, depression. Really there's only one difference between someone who feels mad versus someone who feels sad, and that's the level of energy that they're at. Because when we are exposed to stress in the form of opposition or perceived danger, our nervous system goes into a fight, flight, freeze response. And so I got a finely tuned marathon body. I've been running marathons for over a decade. I get adjusted often, so I'm highly adaptive, high level of energy. So I go right to fight response. It takes me a bit to go to flight response, but for a lot of people, they don't have that level of energy within their body, and we saw what happened during the pandemic for most people. The progression from like, this is just completely made up, to, oh God, everyone's gonna die and we're gonna die also. It was crazy how fast it happened, and just because that perceived danger rapidly diminished people's energy supply. And so when we are stuck and when we are exposed to a fight or flight response, we really have 3 neurological defaults, and so really easy to memorize these. This is the take home for today. MAD, to get mad. Okay, so in order to then handle a perceived danger, you move. You can either move physically to burn off the stress response. Exercise is a good one. Or you can physically move your location. And a lot of people did that during the pandemic. And for me, I held on to the belief system that, there was a lot of darkness in Washington State specifically. And when I say that, I in my essence, who I am a person that believes in following Jesus' example, and I am not very good at it. So when I have opportunities where I feel called to do that, I do it. And so again, fall short a lot. But during the pandemic is one of those situations where it was like, I know how to heal people with my hands, and I'm not afraid of sickness. So I felt very obligated to stand up for that example. And isn't it interesting? I don't know if you've noticed this or if anyone's noticed this, but isn't it like weird that like we have a whole political party in the United States that openly endorses Islam, and that political party thought that covering people's faces and training people to get used to wearing facial coverings was a good idea? Like, is that like seem weird to anybody else? And so that's where my opposition was, because the science did not make sense. I mean, stop a fart with underwear was the equivalent to stopping a virus with a mask. So I found myself in this position where I had lots of patients. I mean, gosh, probably 15% of our patients that literally moved out of the state because they're like, I'm out of this liberal state. This is just ideology that has gone to a religious fanaticism. So I'm gone. And for me, I'm like, no way, I'm staying. I'm going to show all these people how to do it. And then once I show them, then people will become believers of the example that Christ gave. Okay, I was wrong with that, okay? So then, number 2, of M.A.D. And by the way, the only difference between M.A.D and sad is that move, and for sad people, they just stay stuck. And so A in M.A.D is adapt. And at this point in my life, at the point where I was now being threatened by multiple government agencies with threats with jail time and fines, and I'd been called a murderer, and I was going to kill people and kill people's grandparents, and an awful human being by a lot of people, including my in-laws. Love you, Dan and Marge. I know you were stressed. At Thanksgiving, nonetheless, as I got yelled at for not wearing a piece of fabric because they are both people that were supported by the government. So what do you think how do you think they align politically, even though they are Christians? And so I at this point, I don't know what else to do to adapt. I mean, I am at the point where I am running, 8 to 16 miles a day. I'm taking supplements. I'm ordering every program that you can think of for like relaxation. But at this point, I mean, I'm a lean, mean marathon machine, but my body is literally dying. My blood pressure is like 170 over 130. My blood vessels, my eyeballs are rupturing. I'm like, I am not adapting. But that's the second option, is to adapt. To be able to become stronger based on the stress. But at this point, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. In fact, I defaulted to number 3, which was to die. And that's what my body was doing, was gradually shutting down, and it was dying. And if you looked at me, I was positive. If you looked at me, I was healthy, strong, right? High levels of energy. I can go all day long. But undeniable health markers showed that I was dying. Heart rate variability, which is the best predictor of adaptation and resiliency, I was tanked. It was awful. And which then circled me back around to move. and move I did. I moved my physical location so far away from Washington state. In fact, I went from the most liberal, most mandate-intensive state with the most messed up religious ideology, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, like medicine is and politics have now kind of formed their own little church, haven't they? Because the ideology of like drug kids, mutilate children, and medicate everybody and inject them with chemicals, even though they know the chemicals don't do the thing that they said to do. That is an ideology. That is a belief system. So I literally moved from that state, that dark state, to a country, the only country that has a Bible verse on its flag. And guess what that Bible verse is? And the truth shall set you free. So, if you find yourself in a position where you can't do like I did and literally walk away from everything and then go live in paradise to be able to heal, then really we have a couple options. Either A, accept, continue dying. It's not a super good one, although for me, it's like I didn't know what else to do. I was doing all the things. And I with all my research and everything, I couldn't find anybody else that knew. Like you should be healthy, Devin. Keep grinding. So that's not a really good option. And moving more is good. However, if it's to the point where you can't outmove the level of stress, then I would encourage you to take 30 minutes and go onto our website of drugfreehappykids.org and watch my training that's up right now. It's not going to be up very much longer. It is how to stop the spread of the Walking Dead, but Parents' Guide to Raising Resilient Kids. And really what it does is it goes through the foundational neurology behind that breakdown process at a core brain, nervous system, and body level. So it can kind of equip you with some tools in order to then understand exactly what's going on physiologically and really remove the self-blame. That's a lot of people end up in the situation where they, in my experience, where they're like, their health is failing, their mental health and physical health, and it's like they take on the blame. Well, I guess it's too late. I just got bad genes, or, you know, just whatever I should have done things earlier. Now it's too gone for me, and then they resort to just drugging themselves into numbness. And so, what I found is that when people can understand physiologically what's happening with the body, it kind of gives them power back, and really, in the essence, is help people understand it's not your fault. So, with that foundational talk, what I've done after living immersed in complete paradise and studying with the top experts in the world in neurology, Dr. Yuri Gitron and Dr. Heidi Havoc, both PhDs, and created a blueprint to retrain neurospinal calibration. So if you're feeling out of whack, take the half an hour. It's going to be on your phone anyways. Do the talk. It's not going to be up very much longer. Probably the next week. And then get the neurological foundation, because the next steps are coming if you want to come back to life. Or if you want to be sad, that's okay too. One of the greatest joys that I've had with training and being a chiropractor was being able to watch people's lives transform. And I was very successful because that was my joy. I wasn't successful because I liked success. I was successful because I liked watching people succeed. So if you're at a point where you're like, I don't really care, then I can't care for you. But if you're at a point where you're like, yeah, I want this next year to be better, which means taking back control of my health, taking back my power, watch the video, shoot me a link. Send me a message, let me know you did, and I can get you on the list for the upcoming release.